Hi, my name is Jason Burke, and today I'm here to talk to you, my fellow college freshmen, about something that has become more and more important in my life. You see, day after day, I watch my peers always looking forward, always anticipating a test or an essay due, or just looking forward to the weekend. And I see a lot of them focusing so much on these things that they don't realize how nice a day it is, or that they haven't called their mom in 2 weeks, and you know who you are. And sometimes this tunnel vision is a good thing. It helps us to sight out a goal and accomplish it. But sometimes we miss the little moments in our lives. The little moments that flash right before our eyes, the ones that we may dismiss as our typical Tuesday. But my advice is to pay attention. It's funny how the most seemingly insignificant moments in our life can have the most sentimental importance to us. Let me explain. When I was 2 or 3, my parents and I went to Nevada to visit my grandparents. And one night the adults threw a big party. So my grandparents came over and all of them were laughing and drinking and having a grand time. Me, I was on the couch, playing with my toes or doing whatever a 2-year-old does with his spare time. And I remember this part very vividly. My grandfather walked over to me and hoisted me up in his arms and carried me to my high chair. Now, to this day, I don't think I've ever been that tall. Well, he slipped me in my high chair and he leaned in and said, "Would you like a treat?" He then walked over to my mom and said something that I couldn't make out. She smiled and nodded and came over with him. And then he went over to this basket on the counter and picked up this purple sphere that, for the life of me, I couldn't identify. And he put it on my high chair table. I looked at it, very confused, and he said, "Taste it, it's good." So I did. I really did. I took a huge bite out of it, and it was probably the best thing I'd ever tasted. In seconds, I had eaten every bite of that and was still gnawing the last bit of fruit from the hard pit inside. And then I popped that in my mouth too. I remember how my mom and granddad's expressions went from amusement to horror as they lunged toward me and pulled it out of my mouth. Anyway, a few minutes later I went to sleep. And that's the end of the memory. Now, many of you probably think that this is a very bizarre memory for me to remember so vividly. You know, but to me it's more than that. To me, it's the last memory I have of my grandfather before he died. Now, he died when I was young. We weren't all that close. But it's still an important memory to me. And to this day, whenever I have a plum or I find myself staring at the ceiling fan in my room, I think of him. And it's strange, because that moment is so small. It's such a tiny point in my life, but it meant so much. My advice to my peers, my fellow students, and people is that you have to appreciate those little moments. You can't always look forward and ignore life as it passes you by. And I know this sounds cliche. I know it does. But you never know what you might miss. Thank you.